Have you ever wondered about the true age of our world? It is a number so vast, so far beyond our own short lives, that it can be difficult to truly grasp. 4.5 billion years. What if we could take that immense stretch of time and shrink it down into a single, familiar day? A 24-hour clock ticking away from the birth of our planet to this very moment. If we did this, when on this clock do you think our own story, the story of humanity, would begin? The answer might be more surprising than you imagine. It invites us to look at our home and ourselves in a completely new light. Let us embark on a journey through this one extraordinary day. We will watch as our world is forged from cosmic dust and fire. We will witness the slow, patient emergence of life from the simplest of beginnings. This is not just a story of rocks and dates. It is the grandest story of all. It is the story of survival, of change, and of the incredible, unbroken chain of life that connects every living thing on this planet, including us. So let us begin our day at the very start, at the stroke of midnight, when our world was nothing but a promise. We will travel through the long, quiet hours of the morning when the planet was a hostile and alien place. We will see the first signs of life appear in the ancient oceans, a simple yet miraculous event that would change everything. The afternoon will bring a profound transformation to our world's atmosphere, paving the way for new and more complex forms of existence. This journey forces a sense of humility upon us, a deep appreciation for the sheer scale of time that has passed, and the incredible series of events that had to occur for us to be here, now, thinking about it all. This thought experiment is a powerful tool for perspective. It helps us to see the bigger picture, to understand our place not as the masters of this world, but as its most recent arrivals. Each hour of this Earth Day represents nearly 200 million years of actual history. Each minute over 3 million years. We will see empires of life rise and fall in the space of a few hours on our clock. It is a humbling chronicle, one that should fill us with a profound sense of wonder for the resilience and endless creativity of the natural world. Our clock begins at midnight. There is no Earth. There is only a vast swirling cloud of gas and dust, the leftovers from the birth of our sun. For the first moments of our cosmic day, gravity is the master artist. It patiently pulls these swirling motes together, particle by particle, pebble by pebble. The collisions are gentle at first, then more violent. Over millions and millions of years, represented by the first minutes on our clock, a sphere begins to take shape. This is the proto-Earth. A glowing ball of molten rock, a hellish and unwelcoming world. It is a planet under constant bombardment from asteroids and comets, remnants of the solar system's chaotic formation. Sometime around 12:10 a.m. on our 24-hour scale, a truly cataclysmic event occurs. A planet-sized object, which we now call Theia, collides with our young Earth. The impact is unimaginable, vaporizing rock and throwing a colossal amount of debris into orbit. This is not an act of destruction, but one of creation. Gravity, ever patient, goes to work once more on this ring of rubble. Slowly, over the next period of our cosmic morning, this material coalesces. It pulls together to form a smaller sphere, our constant companion, the Moon. It is born from the Earth itself. For the next few hours, until about 4 o'clock a.m., our planet remains a fiery, violent place. The surface is a magma ocean, a sea of molten rock glowing red and orange under a dark sky. The heavy bombardment from space continues, each impact leaving another scar on the cooling crust. This period is known, quite fittingly, as the Hadean Aeon, named after the underworld of ancient myth. There is no water on the surface, no air to breathe. It is a world that seems utterly incapable of supporting life as we know it. The silence of these first hours is profound, a planetary infancy of fire and rock. Yet even in this furnace, the seeds of the future are being sown. Comets and asteroids, the very objects that pummel the surface, are delivering precious cargo. Locked within their icy structures is water. As the planet begins to cool, this water, delivered over hundreds of millions of years, is released as steam. A thick, dense atmosphere begins to form around the young planet. It is a slow, gradual process, taking up the first 4 hours of our Earth day. As we approach 4 o'clock a.m., the planet has cooled enough for that steam to finally condense, and for the first rains to begin to fall. At approximately 4 o'clock a.m. on our planetary clock, a change begins. The relentless rains, falling from the thick clouds for what would be millions of years, start to pool on the surface. The great basins and craters, scars from the early bombardment, begin to fill. This is the birth of the oceans. At first they are not the blue seas we know today, but likely brownish-green and hot. The sky above is a perpetual orange haze, filled with gases we would find poisonous. But in these warm, shallow waters, something truly remarkable is about to happen. It is the single most important event in our planet's long day. We do not know the exact moment, but sometime between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock a.m., the quiet chemistry of the early oceans gives rise to life itself. From a soup of complex molecules, the first simple cells emerge. These are not plants or animals. They are far, far simpler. They are microscopic organisms, the ancestors of all life to come. For the next several hours on our clock, these tiny life forms are all that exist. From 5 o'clock a.m. until well past noon, the planet belongs entirely to them. They float in the vast, silent oceans, reproducing, evolving, and slowly, very slowly, changing the world around them. For what seems like an eternity, 9 long hours on our clock, representing over 2 billion years of real time, very little appears to change on a grand scale. Continents are forming and drifting, but on the surface the world seems locked in a state of simplicity. The only inhabitants are single-celled bacteria and archaea. Yet beneath the surface of the water a quiet revolution is underway. These tiny organisms are masters of chemistry. They are developing new ways to harness energy from sunlight and from the chemicals in the water around them. This is the long, silent dawn of life's ingenuity. Imagine it is now 1 o'clock p.m. in our Earth day. More than half the day has passed, and still there are no plants on the land, no fish in the sea, no creatures of any kind that you or I would recognize. If we were to visit, we would see barren, rocky continents and vast, empty-looking oceans, The air is still not breathable for us. All the drama, all the innovation is happening on a microscopic scale. But one group of these tiny organisms has perfected a new trick, a process that will utterly transform the planet and set the stage for the next great chapter of our story. Just after 1 p.m, our planet's long day takes a dramatic turn. A group of bacteria known as cyanobacteria have mastered a new form of photosynthesis. This process allows them to use sunlight to make food, and as a result they release a waste product. That waste product is oxygen. For the first time, free oxygen begins to be pumped into the oceans and the atmosphere. At first, this oxygen is immediately absorbed by iron dissolved in the water, which rusts and settles to the ocean floor, forming vast deposits of iron ore that we mine today. This process takes an immense amount of time. For the next few hours of our afternoon, from about 1 p.m. to 6 p.m, the great oxidation event unfolds. What was a gift for some was a poison for others. For much of the early life on Earth, which had evolved in an oxygen-free environment, this new gas was toxic. A great extinction occurred, the first of many, as the world was remade. The survivors were those that could tolerate oxygen, or those that found refuge in oxygen-free pockets of the deep ocean. The cyanobacteria, however, thrived, continuing to pump out the gas that was changing the world. The sky begins to change. The methane haze that had shrouded the young Earth is cleared away, and for the first time the sky turns blue. The planet is starting to look more familiar. But this atmospheric shift also triggers a massive climate change event. With the methane blanket gone, the planet cools dramatically, plunging into a series of global ice ages, sometimes called Snowball Earth. For hundreds of millions of years, a couple of hours on our clock, the planet may have been covered almost entirely in ice, a great white marble in space. Life, however, held on in the warmer waters near volcanic vents and in sunlit cracks in the ice. By the time our clock reaches 6 p.m, the evening of our Earth Day, the world has been fundamentally altered. The oxygen levels in the atmosphere are slowly rising. This new, energy-rich atmosphere is the key that will unlock the next level of evolution. It allows for a much more efficient way to power a living body. The long, quiet reign of simple, single-celled organisms is coming to an end. The stage is now set for a burst of creativity, for the emergence of larger, more complex, and more wonderfully diverse forms of life. The evening promises to be very interesting indeed. As evening descends on our planetary day around 6:30 p.m, another quiet but momentous event takes place in the oceans. Some cells begin to cooperate, to live together in colonies. This leads to the evolution of the first multicellular organisms. These are not yet animals or plants, but something in between, like sponges. This step from single cells to many cells working together as one organism is as profound as the origin of life itself. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for size, shape, and function. Life is no longer confined to the microscopic realm. By 8:30 p.m, the oceans are teeming with strange and wonderful creatures. This period, known as the Ediacaran, sees life experimenting with new body plans. There are creatures that look like quilted mattresses, others like fronds planted on the seafloor, and strange disc-shaped animals crawling on the mud. Most of these designs will ultimately be evolutionary dead ends, failed experiments in the great laboratory of life. But they are the first large, complex animals to exist on our planet. After more than 3 billion years, or 20 hours on our clock, the world finally has visible animal life. Then, at approximately 9 o'clock p.m., the pace of evolution suddenly accelerates. This is the Cambrian explosion. In a relatively short period of time, just a few minutes on our clock, the ancestors of almost all modern animal groups appear in the fossil record. The oceans are now filled with trilobites scurrying along the seafloor, and strange predators with grasping claws. For the first time, we see creatures with shells, with legs, and with complex eyes. It is an explosion of diversity, a biological Big Bang that fills the seas with an incredible array of new forms. The quiet, empty oceans are now a bustling and dangerous metropolis. For the next hour or so, until about 10 o'clock p.m., life conquers the sea. Fish evolve, first as jawless, armoured creatures, and later as the powerful swimmers we might recognise. The first coral reefs are built, creating complex habitats for thousands of other species. But the land remains almost entirely barren. It is a world of rock and sand, baked by the sun, with no soil and no life larger than a film of bacteria. The next great challenge for life, the next frontier to be conquered, is the harsh and dry world of the continents. The great journey out of the water is about to begin. Just after 10 o'clock p.m. on our Earth Day clock, the first pioneers make their way onto the land. These are not animals, but simple plants, ancestors of mosses and liverworts. They cling to the damp edges of the water, beginning the slow process of creating the first soils. They are soon followed by small animals like millipedes and scorpion-like arthropods who find food and shelter in these new green spaces. By 10:30 p.m. the first forests have appeared, with tree-sized ferns and strange, scaly-barked trees. The land is finally turning green, and the air is becoming even richer in oxygen. These new forests become home to the first land vertebrates. Amphibians, evolving from lobe-finned fish, crawl out of the water, but they must always return to it to lay their eggs. Then comes a great innovation, the amniotic egg. This self-contained life support system allows animals to break their ties with the water completely. Around 11 o'clock p.m., this leads to the rise of the reptiles. They spread across the supercontinent of Pangaea, becoming the dominant land animals. The world is now a lush, tropical place, teeming with insects, amphibians, and a growing variety of reptiles. At 11:10 p.m., the greatest disaster in the history of life strikes. Massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia pour lava and poisonous gases into the atmosphere for hundreds of thousands of years. This triggers runaway climate change and causes the Great Dying, an extinction event that wipes out over 90% of all species in the sea and on the land. It is the closest life has ever come to being completely extinguished. On our clock, it is a devastating but brief moment of planetary crisis. Life, however, is resilient. In the aftermath, the survivors find a world of new opportunities. From the ashes of this catastrophe, a new group of reptiles rises to prominence. By 11:20 p.m., the first dinosaurs appear. For the next hour and 20 minutes on our clock, a reign of over 150 million years, they will be the undisputed masters of the Earth. They grow to incredible sizes, becoming the largest land animals that have ever lived. The world is theirs. Great sauropods browse the treetops, while fearsome carnivores hunt in the forest below. At the same time, another, much smaller group of animals evolves, living in the shadows of the dinosaurs. They are the first mammals. At 11:39 p.m., with just 21 minutes left in our entire day, the reign of the dinosaurs comes to an abrupt and violent end. A massive asteroid, 6 miles wide, strikes the Earth in the Gulf of Mexico. The impact unleashes energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs. It creates a global firestorm, followed by a nuclear winter as dust and soot block out the sun. The dinosaurs, along with about 75% of all species on Earth, are wiped out. The age of giant reptiles is over in a single catastrophic moment on our clock. The world that emerges from this darkness is a very different place. The catastrophe has cleared the stage. With the great dinosaurs gone, the small nocturnal mammals that had been living in their shadow now have their chance. They survive the extinction, and in the empty world that follows, they begin to diversify with astonishing speed. This is the dawn of the age of mammals. From their humble, shrew-like ancestors, they evolve into a spectacular variety of forms, filling every corner of the planet. They become the new rulers of the land. Over the next 20 minutes of our clock, from 11:39 p.m. to 11:58 p.m., the world begins to look much more like the one we know today. Grasslands spread, and grazing mammals like horses and antelopes evolve to eat the new vegetation. In the oceans, whales and dolphins, mammals that have returned to the sea, become the dominant predators. In the trees of Africa, a group of mammals, the primates, is developing grasping hands and large forward-facing eyes. They are adapting to a life of leaping among the branches, judging distances with great accuracy. As we get closer and closer to midnight, the climate continues to change, becoming cooler and drier. In Africa, the great forests begin to shrink, replaced by open savanna. This environmental pressure forces some of these primates down from the trees. Around 11:58 p.m., with just 2 minutes left in the day, these apes begin to walk upright on 2 legs. This is a crucial step. It frees their hands to carry food and to begin making the first simple tools. These are our earliest ancestors, the hominins. Their story and ours is about to begin in the final moments of the day. We have now arrived at the final minute of our 24-hour day. All of planetary history, all the rise and fall of empires of life, has led to this moment. At 30 seconds before midnight, the first members of our own species, Homo sapiens, evolve in Africa. For thousands of years, which pass in just a few seconds on our clock, we are a small population of hunter-gatherers, one of several human-like species sharing the planet. We are not yet masters of the world. We are simply a part of it, living within the rhythms of nature. With less than 10 seconds to go until midnight, our ancestors begin to spread out from Africa. They move into Asia, into Europe, across to Australia, and finally into the Americas. During this time, they develop more complex tools, create the first art on cave walls, and develop the rich tapestry of language and culture. They are learning to adapt to every environment on Earth, from the frozen tundra to the deep rainforest. This great migration is one of the most remarkable achievements in the history of our species, and it all happens in the blink of an eye on our planetary clock. The invention of agriculture occurs at about 2 seconds before midnight. For the first time, we are no longer just gathering the food that nature provides. We are actively shaping the land to produce it for us. This allows for permanent settlements, the growth of villages, and then cities. It is the foundation for civilization. The pyramids of Egypt are built. The Roman Empire rises and falls. The great thinkers of the Renaissance change our understanding of the universe. All of recorded human history, every war and every peace treaty, every king and every queen, every book ever written, takes place in the last 2 seconds. The Industrial Revolution, which has so completely transformed our world and our lives, begins in the last fraction of a second. Our scientific knowledge, our ability to travel around the globe in a matter of hours, our journey to the moon, all of this is crammed into the final tick of the clock. It is an astonishing burst of change, driven by this one species that appeared so very late in the day. We have, in an instant of geological time, remade the surface of the planet and altered the composition of its atmosphere. And so, here we are, 1 second to midnight. After a day that has lasted 4.5 billion years, we find ourselves in this fleeting, final moment. When you see the entirety of Earth's history laid out like this, the sheer brevity of our own existence is humbling. The dinosaurs, who we think of as a distant memory, ruled the world for over an hour of this day. Our entire recorded history has flashed by in less time than it takes to say these words. We are, in the grandest of perspectives, a planetary afterthought. This perspective does not make us insignificant. On the contrary, it makes our existence all the more precious, all the more miraculous. In our brief time here, at the very end of the day, we have developed a unique awareness. We are, as far as we know, the only species in this planet's long history that has been able to look back and piece together this incredible story. We are the planet's consciousness, its way of knowing itself. This is a profound privilege, and it comes with an equally profound responsibility. We have arrived so late, and yet our impact has been immense. In the last fraction of a second, we have changed the climate and triggered an extinction event that rivals some of the great crises of the past. The future of this planet's day, the first moments of tomorrow, will be shaped by the choices we make right now in this final tick of the clock. Understanding our tiny place in this immense history is the first step towards wisdom. It calls not for pride, but for humility. It calls for a deep and abiding care for this world that has been our home for such a very short time. As our clock strikes midnight, a new day for Earth begins. What will it hold? That, for the first time in 4.5 billion years, is up to one species. It is up to us. We are the custodians of this remarkable world, the inheritors of an impossibly long and beautiful story. Let us hope that we can be wise and gentle stewards and ensure that the wonderful, complex and precious story of life on Earth continues long into its new dawn. The story is now in our hands. And if you found this journey through time as fascinating as we did, don't let the story end here. Hit that subscribe button, watch as it comes alive on your screen, and join our community of curious minds. Every week we explore new wonders, from the dawn of Earth to the frontiers of tomorrow. Be part of the adventure. Subscribe now and let's shape the next chapter together.